everyone, and welcome back to Broadcast. If you've never watched the show before, what the bloody hell is it, and who the fuck are you? Well, let me explain. My name's Billy Kirkwood. I'm the host of Broadcast. Relax. I have never heard of me either, but this podcast is brought to you totally free by the sexy MFers of the Broadbeard Oils. And what it is a sort of exploration podcast. We get to talk to people from all kinds of backgrounds. We have had MMA fighters, we've had pro wrestlers, we've had comedians, we have actors, we have had mental health advocates, we have BDSM models and everything in between. And what we get to do is we get to talk to them, learn a little bit about them, and have ourselves a bit of fun here on Sunday nights. If you would like to go back and check out the archive, it's so easy to do. And while you're out there, why not hit follow, leave a wee review, do all that kind of stuff so people get to know a little bit more about what you're viewing each and every week, and hit that share button. Right, we're not messing about because first of all, our guest is, well, what's a good way of describing her? Explosively Gallus, she's been referred to. The Las Vegas showgirl. She's currently in exile, but she is waiting in her green room. Let's talk, ladies and gentlemen, to comedian. Oh, there's so much to get in here. Comedian, performer, burlesque performer, pioneer of the neo-burlesque scene, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, please buckle in, motherfuckers. This is Roxy Stardust. Yes, she is. Yeah. Hopefully that wasn't too big of a intro for you. You all right with that, Roxy?
I was all right. I'll take it. My speakers were making you sound like a lion for some reason. So
I'm
probably
sorry.
didn't hear it all, so
It was all good, and I appreciate that. I'm bloody loud as well. First of all, you're joining us from Cardiff today, yeah?
Yes.
Right.
And
You're
lovely
down in Cardiff
Wales.
doing the Masters.
Yeah. But it's not a real degree, so it's
It is a real
musical
degree.
theatre
Don't be like
precise.
that. It
It's
is
not
a real
rocket
degree.
scientist, and I'm like dissecting things. I'm like, I just can do a step ball change sometimes. Sometimes can do it.
It's like folk that have like PhDs in beekeeping. It's like, I'm a doctor. You're not a doctor.
Well, my plan is to do a PhD, and people are like, why? And I'm like, so I can be a doctor, that's it. So I can be Dr. Stardust. Like, there's nothing else.
Oh my goodness. That sounds like a TV series we need on Netflix right now. I don't even know what it is, but Dr. Stardust. I'm serious.
I don't know if the world would be ready for that. But yeah, but then I can use my degree. It'd be fine.
There you go. Do you know, it was funny, like during lockdown, because I was doing the radio, I was classed as a key worker, hilariously. And the number of people that would say things like, oh, the key worker, did you ever use that to skip and go to the front of the queue? So hang on, let me just break this down for you. So there's going to be triers, nurses, doctors, and I'm pushing them all out the way going, no, son, no. Somebody needs to hear Rita Ora at 7 o'clock in the morning and the traffic report for fucking Ayrshire. No,
so you did die, is what you're saying? You
all the time. Do you know who I'm at? Do you know who I'm at? And I would just walk straight to the front. Roxy, I'm delighted we finally got you on the show. There's so much to cover. Now, we've sort of known each other from the gigging scene for a good few years now. Yeah. But there's so much more to you in terms of the background. First of all, you performed all over the world, all over the UK, all over Europe, and all over the United States as well. But trying to put you in a box in terms of like, what is Roxy Stardust? How would you describe yourself? Because there's so many different, I don't want to use the phrase like fingers and pies and all that, but there's so many different things you've got going on. How would you describe yourself?
I'm just a wee mess.
A wee mess?
I don't know. An entertainer. I just do what I do.
And
I think a lot of times people go like, I'm sure you get it. Oh, you're a comedian, and you're like, yeah, but I also produce. I make costumes. I do those horrible gigs where you have to stand up and go, this is the next person. Okay, kind of not even as fun as bingo calling. Like you just go, yeah. So I don't know. I'm just a bit of a mess who people seem to hire. Charming. That's what I'm charming.
Yeah. You don't sit waiting for the phone to ring. You make your own things happen as well.
Yeah, you got to do it, haven't you? You can't wait for the phone to ring because one day that phone will stop. And I think the nice thing is about making your own opportunities is, especially in Glasgow, which is a really cool city in terms of entertainment, is you can make other opportunities for other people.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily all about going, right, well, I need to do this. I need to be busy. It's going, right, okay, I'm going to do this. Who else can we get on board? And it keeps an industry alive.
Because I remember the first time I saw you, so we were doing Entertainment together, which, if anyone doesn't know, is just putting it on a poster, the Comedy Magic Burlesque. Most people wouldn't think that would work, but it's hands down one of my favorite nights. It's actually one of my
100%.
hands down. I love it. I think it's a fantastic night, and I was only really a novice in terms of viewing burlesque. I hadn't actually seen a lot, but I come from a theatrical background, a little bit of a lovey and stuff like that. But it's funny how I'd never got the time to really see it and appreciate the difference between good burlesque and bad burlesque. So after a little, I was kind of seeing it. But one of the things that got me when I saw you was, first of all, was your engagement with the audience, and it was funny. I had never seen funny burlesque. Well, don't get me wrong, what you're doing is incredible, but it was like, I was buckled. I thought, that's finally it's dialed in. What was that something you set out to do in the early days, or where did you get the flavor for wanting to bring your own branch of comedy into what you did?
So I was meant to be in a double act,
right?
And she cancelled on me last minute, and I was like, all right, cool. This has happened. And we were meant to debut in London, right. And I found an Elvis CD in an airport, because I was like, because CDs were a thing back then. I'm sure anybody that remembers doing that in the performance scene will realise how old I am. But I got a performance CD. It was an Elvis CD, and just went, I need a track, let's do it, and just kind of done something in the spot. It was never meant. I've always thought I would do that classical stuff, which I can do, but I just kind of found this niche, and then I kind of flirted around in the Glasgow. I love Billy Connolly, and I love all the he just is amazing, and he really is proud of being Scottish, really proud of being from where he is, and so am I. And I just thought, can I do this but burlesque? And it just kind of happened. It just kind of was like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And it's cool. It's nice to go on stage every time, and I think the nice thing is that people get it. It's not just like comedy because I'm poking fun at someone or poking fun at me, or that's a huge thing. I never want to go up there and be like, oh, look, I'm typically drunk and Scottish, or I'm just doing something that's been done. Like it's just about going, what do people, what can they engage with? And being dressed as a giant bag of chips is something people can engage with. They think it's funny.
I love the giant bag of chips made me laugh. I have to admit, and you also I think you might be the only act, maybe like you and Chris, that does Jesus. I can never remember his surname. You know what I mean? He does Christ on a bike. The guy comes out dressed as Jesus. Chris.
Oh yeah. Oh, why can't I? Do you know what I do every year for like the past 4 years? I've done voodoo rooms, and why? Because I know Chris from being very, very young and going to theatre school.
Oh wow,
the dance teacher. Oh, why can't I remember who this is? I'll figure it out.
Do you know, we'll come back to this. We'll be halfway through it. But I think it's probably one of the things about your act is I love coming on after it and going, now, on Monday, you're going to go back to work and try and explain what you just saw, and you're not going to be able to manage it. I think maybe one of the first acts I saw you did was the old lady, dare I suggest. I think it was the old lady. And I just remember you screaming at the audience, come on, you cunts! And thinking, yes, this is the speed that I want this at. And it always is such a shift. I mean, we spoke about this a little offline, but in terms of capturing comedy, and I'm a big comedy nerd in that respect, how did you find it when you started having audiences responding with laughter in a way that, I'm not having a go at other burlesque performers, of course I'm not, but it's a completely different connection you seem to have.
I think, but I love classical burlesque. It is, if I go and see a show, I'm like, oh, look at them.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's just about making them feel something.
Yeah.
Like you can't, I think a huge part of being a performer in any genre is you have to engage with the audience. You need to read them, especially if you're a live act. It's different, I guess, if you're in theatre and you're looking at your practitioners and going, right, okay, how do I do this? What's the story? But when you have 5 minutes on stage, which normally you only really get as a burlesque performer, you can't really speak to them. I don't know if you're meant to. We have, we do, we're known to. But it's about making them feel something, and the only way you can engage is by getting a response. And whether that, sometimes there's acts where you'll just watch and you don't want to engage because you're like, this is incredible. Some people are storytellers. There's so many different branches to it. But for me, I want to, the world's a bit shite at the moment. It's a bit shite, and I just want them to enjoy it for a minute and hopefully take something that they can go like on the bus home hiding your tinnies, like the pint you've stole for the pub, and eating your chips, like just going, what did I just see?
Exactly.
What just happened? Like that's the nicest thing about it. It's not that straight engagement. It's knowing that you've left something that people can just have a laugh at later.
Right, so we've had a little dive into where a part of your career is, but we've got to jump back to the start. Where did all this kick off for you in terms of like even making the branch into where does a teenager start getting the taste for musical theatre and live performance? Where did that all come from for you?
It's my granny. It just did. My granny loves Calamity Jane. She loved
Calamity
very nice.
Jane.
And I grew up watching like Billy Connolly and playing records of that, and like all the old like Morecambe and Wise and things like that, and Carry On movies. So that slapstick's always just been something I like, and she loved musicals, and it just kind of went from there. Like I've always been into vintage, I've always been into like the hairstyles and the costumes, and it just was like a natural progression. And one day I just went, I'm gonna do that.
Did you perform at all at secondary school or anything like that?
No, I was not.
No, none at all. Really?
I was not a fan of high school, Mr. Kirkwood. I was not.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's fair enough.
Our school wasn't really focused on the arts. They were very much about academics. Don't get me wrong, there were some amazing teachers in there who I will never forget for pushing me. But I mean, I went and said, right, I want to do advanced higher drama, and they were like, no, we don't do that here. We have to, basically you had to pay for a taxi to the next school to do it. And they wouldn't. It's always
madness. You keep hearing about that. Why don't they teach drama at every school? I've never understood it.
Yeah, I hope they appreciate it more, because when the world fell apart, who did people watch movies? They watched like, they done online classes. They watched like online theatre shows. So I hope now that there's more respect for the arts. Don't get me wrong, they were really into art, but they just weren't really into high school. Like, it wasn't their thing.
I get you. But you touched on it there just for a second. Performing during lockdown. Now, it seems to be something we've had to discuss with every performer. And thankfully, even though the world's a bit, shite just now, things have started opening up. The arts have started getting back out there. Well, it feels like they're just getting back there. Please, let us be the start of them getting back there. We got to perform. I think the only time we actually saw each other during the whole of lockdown was, I think, I'm going to turn around and say it was the drive-in.
Yes, it was in the back of a van.
The number of people I've said the drive-through shows, and they give me the weirdest fucking look. It's like, were people driving up in cars and you were telling them a joke and then they were moving on? It's like, let's not give anyone ideas. But so if you'll picture this, whenever you're watching, folks. How can we describe this? Right, so like, imagine like the drive-in movies you see in 80s films, but not as good, right? So the setup, but you had the big truck, like it was Live Aid or something, and we were all performing in that and going in around the cars and all that. But you guys were doing your live show, and I think that's only when we sat and watched it. I think it was like Halloween or something. You did it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the night. It was the night that we got told that we couldn't perform anymore.
That's right.
Like we all had to be closed. Yeah, that has definitely been one of my favorite gigs. Full stop. It was so much fun, and my favorite thing, which I kind of said to everyone, we have to behave. This is not like Fringe, where like you can perform to one person but they're still there.
Right.
And I kind of said to everyone, right, we need to tread carefully with this, because there's also laws, because it's a residential area. We have to be careful with the nudity. I mean, the van was turned around so we wouldn't be facing the people. And I was like, I don't care who sees whatever. Listen, just go where you find whatever you like in the other. We had like, I said to Lily, who was going around with the microphone, I was like, do not get in a car. Do not touch anybody, be on it. And everybody was so well behaved. We were all backstage riling each other up. For like, sometimes there is that bit of clash between comedians and burlesque crew, and the burlesque crew and some other like singers. Like you get a kind of it's like a West Side Story when everyone's like, oh, it's another gang, but everyone's bigging each other up. We're going, this could be the last show for a while. And then when we get out, I said to the audience, right, you've got till 10 o'clock and you've got to stop tooting your horns. And then they were going mental. I was like, come on, calm down. Oh my God. In my head, I was getting arrested. We were going to jail. Because, of course, Glasgow did not behave themselves. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have
Well,
thought?
we didn't know it did kind of feel like it was all about underground because we did a comedy show before it, and it was even then it was like, is any minute now that like is Nicola Sturgeon going to turn up personally? And it's like right in the car. But you guys went out in freezing cold because if I remember correctly, I think it was late October, maybe early November, even something like that. It was absolutely freezing. And
I think it was the 29th, maybe.
And if I can speak on behalf of all the comedians, anyone that did not have respect for burlesque performers, well, at the start of the show, fucking had it by the end of it, man. You guys going out there and doing your thing with a big screen, by the way, just in case anyone's wondering, there was a big screen. It's just no somebody in a van with a car park. But Glasgow, like you say, didn't he behave itself? But they turned out in style for you guys, and I thought it was bloody great. But how was lockdown for you guys? Because obviously for performers, hey, it was a bleak time because we didn't really know everything suddenly, boom, got shut. And even though McDonald's and all that was back open in about 2 months, for us, they were next to nothing. But you kind of turned into the curve because you started doing some online stuff as well.
Yeah, we did. I had a day off, which was nice for once. But I was in a funny position because even though I'm Glasgow based, I was studying and working in Bristol at the time, and then I kind of came back to Glasgow. Then I moved. Well, I was working in Edinburgh, and then I moved back to Cardiff. So I was kind of between everything. We started doing stuff online for the first 3 weeks, and I think we said 3 weeks. We're going to do these shows, we're going to do interviews, and that's it. We're just going to keep it working. And then it just kind of stopped happening and it just kept going. Like it did feel for like a bit there was no hope, like we were never getting back. But people banded together. And I think what was interesting, especially for burlesque, is that people had to do something else. They had to turn to we had to learn to make videos. We had to learn to do like special effects and learn how to work things like StreamYard and Zoom, and there was a whole new outlet. Now the cool thing is that I will always, especially for our festival, I will always do an online show, and it brought so many people together, like people who didn't want to see the arts die, who didn't want to see like people miss it. I think there was a huge thing that the audiences would forget, but I think for me, a lot of it was what if the performers forget what they do? What if they forget how much they enjoy it and how much, this means to them? Because, you play to an audience, but we are vain creatures, but, it is about doing something you love and not having to be stuck doing something that you don't like. And it really brought a whole, that idea of community rather than an industry really flourished during lockdown for us, which was really nice. Not everybody. Do you know what I mean? There was still a couple of arseholes. let's be honest. But the people who wanted to see things grow just went, nah, we gotta get together and we gotta do stuff. And there's still stuff going on in America because some of them are still their shows haven't reopened, their venues have closed. So right now I think it's just about supporting people getting back on their feet and going, right, what are bars? How do we support them? If it takes 20 quid off my fee, then I'm going to do it because at the end of the day, they supported me as a performer when things were happening. So, I mean, me personally, I'm like, I want to give back. I want to go, right, what can I do for the things that were there beforehand so that we can have a future?
So, and it was also important, I mean, you've kind of nailed it right in the head there, right at the end. It was about getting everything restarted. That was always the bit that worried me a little bit. It's like, we will get back, but it's how do we get everything restarting again? You don't want it to be muds in the tires in the mud, so to speak. You wanted to get kind of everything going. But one of the things I noticed with you guys when you did the online thing was the number of people that were tuning in from all around the world. I mean, people were getting engaged from all around the globe, and that must have been that must have been something to put a little fire in your bellies to keep things going when you were seeing that engagement from around the globe.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think we are lucky in a sense that we are visual. So even if people don't really understand, I mean, when I host abroad, people are like, we don't know what you said half the time, but we liked it. And that kind of came across. I was like, do you know what to do? Put up the automated subtitles. That's all you need to do. And that would be great, especially for Glaswegian. But I think because we're visual, people began to go, this happens everywhere. It's not just our little pond. It's not just our little niche. Like there's so much, and we got to see like the different genres of performers from all over the world. And when you're getting people tuning in from like Australia, this is why I want to keep it up. and keep doing it. It's not something I ever thought we'd reach. I mean, we're very lucky during Festival of Burlesque is that people will travel. We're very, very lucky. I mean, we've worked hard to get to there, but to know that it was just at the end of someone's fingertips and they didn't have to pay a lot of money for it was just amazing. And I think that's a huge thing with burlesque, is being accessible finance wise. So that made me go, yeah, cool, we can do this, we can do it online, people like it, and as well it's not leaving them out of pocket to come to a show. Which was really nice.
It becomes really all inclusive as well. Like if somebody, they can't get a babysitter, they can't get out of the house, maybe they've got that bit of anxiety about going out and seeing live stuff, they're still able to tune in and be a part of the community. But I thought you guys did an amazing job. We got to talk about actually the burlesque scene itself, and we talk about the comedy scene, because we did hint on this a little bit, and you and I have talked about this before, how they can be the sharks and the jets. I don't get it, man. I don't get it at all, because comedians can be a bit weird with burlesque performers, and I'm sure it's vice versa. I don't get it, because I consider there's so many wonderful comedy performers on the burlesque and the cabaret scene especially, but yet comedians would go, oh no, they're not doing jokes about the difference between men and women, and which apparently there are many, so I'm told. And it can be a bit weird, but how is the community itself in order to interact with for the burlesque community? We've got to talk about that, because I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've got plenty of wild stories about gigs, because I love a bad gig story, probably more than a good gig story. Like if someone turns around and says, oh, I did a gig last night, 800 people at the theatre, smashed it. But I deserved that after I died in my hole in a Drawson. Tell me about a Drawson. I'm dying to hear about these stories. So you got to give me one of your favourite gig stories, and you got to give me one of your least favourite gig stories. It's a wee bit of a rule I have here with performers. What's one of your favourites? What's one of the ones you look back on and you go, boom?
Favourite is, without doubt, Balance.
Yes.
Favourite. I can't even, it's not even a story where I can go, it was just, I mean, it was an amazing show, but it was the Balance.
Yeah.
You can't, we were the first burlesque show there, and Elliot Bibby was the first magician, and we were on the same, I think we were the night after you guys, the Comedy Awards.
All right, yeah.
And I was like, this is a good weekend. This is something that hasn't been done in here before. Whole, it's been done, but it's still the Barrowlands. I grew up, I get my granny, my granddad there. My mum, my mum, I keep saying my dad, but she met other people there. And, it's such an ingrained part of, who we are as Glaswegians, and to be wow, and to see people walk in and go, are we actually in the Barrowlands right now? And I was like, I know. And I've paid for it. I don't know what to do. So that was amazing. I got a gig at the Barrowlands
with ICW, because they let me go out and do stand up at the start of every show. But did you nick a star?
No, I didn't. And I was like, it
is.
I was gonna pinch.
Next time I'm in, I'll get you one.
No, I didn't. Because I am a respectable human being.
That one, would you believe that fell off into my bag?
Oh, I can. It happened to David Bowie, so why would it not happen to you?
Exactly. Or I know two members of the staff of the Barrowlands that argue cat and dog about what the actual David Bowie story is. like back and forth. It's two completely different versions of it. We actually did the Comedy Awards. So I'd done ICW and I'd done stand up in there, but I actually hosted that Comedy Awards, and it was shite. But you guys blitzed the next night, so that was an amazing story. What's a bad one? Come on, what was interesting?
This sounds a bad story.
Let me rephrase that. Sometimes I think when you do a gig and you know that it's maybe not perfect, and you kind of learn to enjoy it anyway. Otherwise, why would we be doing this job, right? But
you've done
what
French,
was it?
Right?
Well, it is. But what was it when it was about the gig that you maybe go, when you're telling the story to someone, they're going, why did you do that gig? Have you got any like that?
I do have loads of them. But when I was just starting performing, I got to perform in a venue for a show that I was really excited about, because I was like, this is cool. This is one of those shows where you go, right, I've made it. This is it. This is me moving up a tier, and you get it. When you get your first slot at the stand, it's not on Red Raw. It's right, this is cool. Or like when you get booked for entertainment, you're like, right, okay, this is an established show. This show sells out. And I was pretty new to performing, and the theme was French porno.
Nice.
And I was like, all right, cool. And she just booked an act that just didn't really say French porno. And then someone stole all my clothes. So I'm standing, and obviously a big part of the show is taking your clothes off, and I'm performing, but I'm watching this guy thinking he's the stage manager. So he steals all my clothes. And I say to the bouncer, the stage manager, and he goes, oh, there's no stage manager. So he goes, and he's like, I went, can you get my clothes back? He's like, how do I know they're your clothes? I was like, I just took them off. So the guy that took them was quite big. The bouncer was massive, and there was me in a pair of sparkly heels, hundreds of wigs, being like, get my clothes back, yeah, so chasing him through the crowd. And it was like 4 a.m. It was during Fringe. Everybody was pissed. There was I don't even. It was just a bit weird, and it was all. And then there was also an argument with the person who run it, who I really really like, with the manager, because they were like, you can't put hardcore porn on the screen, and she was like, it's art. And he was like, just put a diffused glow. And she's like, no, we have to see the moisture. And I was like, what? It was just a really surreal night. It was just, it's not a bad story, but you know, when you wake up and you go, what happened?
Did that happen?
What? Like, it's just, I have also as well, when I was away, I was booked for a show. It wasn't a bad story. I was booked in, where was I booked? I was booked in San Diego. And obviously you tip there. But no one told us that was a thing that happened in a burlesque show. And I showed up. I was with Lily Blue, who's from Bristol, and we showed up, and she was dressed as Where's Wally, and I was dressed as in my Scottish outfit, doing assholes. But I was like, where does anyone put the money? Like, no one told us, so it was just a bit weird. I mean, we got money, but you know, when you're like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, those are the bad times. There's stuff where I'm like, this one time I told a bunch of performers from Belgium that Mad Dog was a Scottish delicacy. Like, things like that are the stories that I'm like, yeah. But with burlesque, you just do stuff where you're like, this is a bit weird. Like, I know what I remember once. Weird. This is surreal.
See, but those are the gigs I love for some reason. If someone goes, do you want to do a gig in a hot air balloon? Yes, I do. Yeah. I want to do a gig in a hot air balloon so bad.
We performed like at Truck Fest, and that was literally in the back of your truck.
Nice. What?
And that was all a bit strange. But there's been, I don't think there's been anything where I've went, I never want to do this again. I never want to. But I think as a person, I'm just a bit like, well, it happened. It's a story in it.
I always, it's one of my phrases which I know annoys many performers from all different genres, all different brands. It's like, this is going to make a great story one day in the book. This is going to make a great story. And like, no, we shouldn't be doing this. All the audience are on their own way, and the guy in the front row's got 2 glass eyes. Come on, let's go see his glass eyes.
Oh, I have had someone. There was a hen party in again when I was in the States, and it was all a bit of a strange gig. We ended up performing in like a speakeasy. It was really cool, and there was a hen party in, and I'm dressed as Minnie Mouse, and I'm performing and walking back and forward, and the hen just threw up everywhere in front of me, and the way I watched it happen, just kind of jumped over it and just kept going at the sides. I was like, I don't know what to do, but she vomited. The best, the maid of honor also vomited, and I was like, this is my life. This is my mother's proud. You know, you go away and you're like, you want to come back and go, listen, I had a date of aunties time, and then you're like, nah, I'm just in the back of scabby hostels, like women are vomiting while I'm performing. It's all right, it's fine.
It sounded like something. It sounded like something from like the Trainspotting version of a Busby Berkeley sort of musical, just fountains of barf.
It was a bit like The Exorcist, and I'm like, all right. And when I came off, Lou again, it must be just Lily Lou that causes trouble with me. She just turned around and went, mate, you are a machine.
There you go. That's what you want.
What do you do in that situation? Hand her a tissue?
But here we are, the other side of lockdown. Things opening up and what have you, which is great. People are getting out and perform. We performed only about a month ago or so together, I think, in Glasgow. Maybe 2 months. Fucking hell, man.
It was during Co-op. It was during the conference. So
Oh, it was. You're right. Oh, because they were all the dirty conference. In case you're wondering, it's like COP26, guys. It's not like a conference of filth they have in Glasgow, although they could realistically, and they would come along.
It's actually really good.
Yeah. It was. So COP26 was in a whole bunch of the American diplomats and French diplomats all came down to see entertainment. And
what a day! What a cultural experience they had.
I think so, especially if I remember, we saw the chips. I'm pretty sure. We saw the chips.
I Mars bar at my vagina that night. You were right, Billy.
They probably got a grant in order to see that. I think I might have said that. It's like, if that doesn't get us a fucking grant from Creative Scotland, I don't know what will. I don't know what will. But what's the plans now? Everything's kind of opening up. Obviously, you're down there finishing off the Masters before you become Dr. Stardust when you get the PhD, which I love the idea of that. I think if you don't start getting introduced as Dr. Stardust, then there's something very wrong. What's the plans then going forward? I mean, obviously we've got the Fringe bubbling away and they're rising and other bits and bobs. What's your plan over the next couple of years, Roxy? Because you're so busy, obviously, with the Festival of Burlesque and everything else. I thought I was busy, but you're putting me to shame because I don't do any of that in heels. What is it you do? What is it you've got planned?
I'm gonna maybe take some time off. That'd be nice. I'm a fan of sleeping and breathing and eating. That's good. But once the MA is out of the way, I would obviously I'm applying to write PhD. But when it comes to burlesque, we've hopefully got a small theatre show happening, which would be interesting. We're currently, if anybody wants to talk to me about how much you should charge for a ticket, that'd be great because obviously the economy in Glasgow's changed. So I think a lot of what I'm trying to do just now is just research what's affordable for Glasgow. We've got the festival happening, hopefully Glasgow Festival of Burlesque. Hopefully that's going to happen in September this year.
Great.
And then from then on, we have a couple of things planned. We've got some festivals that we're not allowed to release yet happening, and obviously Fringe I'm discussing just now, which fingers crossed is will be good, and we won't perform into one person. that'd be lovely. But I mean, we'll do it. Show's a show in it. We are.
Did you do the Fringe last year, Roxy?
Yeah, we only done the 2-day when Voodoo Rooms put it on. So we done a 2-day Glas Vegas at night, and we done a 2-day first time Fringe show, which was printed wrong and was first time fingers. So, which I wanted to call it, and was told it was too inappropriate, but it ended up, and everyone was like, "Oh, being fingered." I was like, "Okay, cool." Not for a bucket tip, mate. Like,
did you not put the French porn on the back wall?
So Fringe, and then we're just gonna kind of see. We're on our 8th year for the festival, so it's time to kind of start planning something. We've done Barrowlands for our 5th year, so we have to start looking at 10 and seeing where that goes. It's the moon. I might just quit. I might just be like, no, I'm done. Sell these.
Really?
Do you never get the point where you're like, I am. What if there is someone vomiting in the front crowd? I'm trying not to throw a glove in that. What am I doing?
every now and then, there will be someone's got a glass, or you hear did you hear what happened halfway through the show? A woman shouting a pizza box and going, maybe this is it. Maybe I'll go and breastfeed kids that are starving or something. I've thought that many.
Did that happen? Because that definitely sounds like something that could have happened.
Oh, I remember doing tea in the park a couple of years ago, and a woman shouting a pizza box, and because one of the acts was on stage and everyone was distracted. And they went, "It's a woman's." I do remember thinking, "Going,
and didn't do it on the ground like that's."
No, she didn't in the box. She was a lady.
She was a lady. I think you mistake that.
But I do remember thinking, maybe I need to go back to uni or something like that. Maybe I need to do something. But then, but then you wouldn't get to tell someone. Well, yeah, I was an atrocious. I've got an MA, but I still don't know how. To this day, I still don't know how. I sometimes think they went, "Oh, just give them it for sympathy." There it goes. And it's out the door.
When I'm watching, I'm like, I am old enough to be some of these people's mums. Do I really need to learn a time step? And while they are doing a time step, backflip, flip flops into the splits, and I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and eat this Greggs. That's it. It's fine.
I've only gigged with a few comedians so far who legitimately, I am old enough to be their dad. I am old, or the one that I've had, and this one stung, Roxy. This one stung. When I met the 17-year-old child of someone who came to see me on their first date, and it was like, oh fuck, That one stung. But in all fairness, they were 20. Literally, they got married within the year, had the baby. So it's not as bad as it sounds.
I mean, I love that it's like, let's justify it.
Yeah. I think the only phrase I could think of was this, well, I've never had my comedy make anyone horny before. But there it is, you guys. You guys enjoy yourself. Roxy, it's been such an absolute blast. Where's the best place to people get in touch and find out what's going on so they can stay in touch with everything that's going on?
So we have Glasgow Festival of Burlesque.com, which we have just put up a listing, which other shows can also put listings on too. And there's stuff like the workshops that are happening. So that's kind of an all-round of what's happening in Glasgow and Scotland. And then if it's for me, but I mean, just don't bother with that. It's roxystardust.com, I think. I had to change it. So it's either .com or .uk, or just Google me. Just be careful what you click on. Sometimes it'll charge a premium fee. So
okay, so definitely
no one subscribes.
Let's put it this way: the firewall at work will take care of that one if you're on the wrong website. So don't go worrying about that. Everyone, give it up for our amazing guest, the wonderful Roxy Stardust. I'm going to pop you back in the green room, and I'm just going to finish this up, Roxy. I'll only be 1 second. Here's Roxy. Soon to be Dr. Roxy, if she has her way. Right, that was an awesome episode. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure to check out everything that Roxy's going to be up to. I'm going to put the details and the links below. And don't forget, you can still subscribe over the YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. If you want the video one, it's over on YouTube. If you want the audio one, it's over here. And of course, head over to Braw Beard Oils. You can still get some amazing stuff before we head into the summer. They've got beard oils, t-shirts, hats, neck gaiters, trumpet socks, all the stuff you need. It's over there on the website, Braw Beard Oils. I'm going to get the bloody hell out of here. Oh, I meant to do a plug for myself. Agent said this. BillyKirkwoodComedy.com. Cheers, pal. Right, I will see you down the line. This is another episode of Broadcast. Bye.